What's going on, family? I'm Mr. Pleasant. Welcome to a pleasant connection. Yes, yes. Now I know things look a little different. Like, first of all, where's Sierra? Mrs. Pleasant, she's out there. She's being a queen. She'll be back. Don't worry, she'll be back. And then two, the intro's a little different because we're doing things a little different today. First of all, thank you guys so much. This Marriage Starter Kit has really been eye-opening, helping out in our relationship, and hopefully it has been helping yours as well. If you're single, hopefully it started, the thought process. If you are in a relationship or married, hopefully it's opening up room so you guys can have those conversations you need. One thing we do in our relationship to help us grow is the check-in. Guys, there's 365 days in a year. There's no way I can remember everything I've said this year. So it's very important that I stop, take a minute, review what I said, what I didn't say, make sure that we're on the same path as we continue to go closer to God. And we're praying the same thing for you all. So for today, we thought, let's take a look at the top 10 lessons from the Marriage Starter Kit so far. I say so far because as we wrap up the end of the year, we're preparing for 2022 and also episode 7 as we continue this series. Guys, we love you guys so much. The support has been awesome. We ask that you continue to like, subscribe, share. Please engage. There's our emails available. Our comment section is available. If you need prayer for anything, you just need a vent, you need to talk about things, that's what we're here for. Guys, we want this to be a blessing to everyone. So please, if you can, I'll say it again, share. Anybody that needs to hear this message, please share. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's been awesome reviewing everything. And I can't wait to see what God has in store for us all. Until next time, have a pleasant love. Over. To say it, sometimes it's almost like we have to remove our human emotion out of it to a certain extent.
That's true.
You still want to feel the love of a man or a woman.
That's true.
You still want to feel the hug. You still want to feel embrace. You want the kiss, the lip. You still want to feel that, but sometimes you have to look at it in a sense of how is my time being well spent? Is my personality changing? Am I spending time with my family like I used to? Am I spending time with my friends like is this man or girl taking me away from those people I love? And where's my money going to? I'm just going on all these dates and I'm not growing closer to God. We're not growing closer to a wedding chapel.
Yeah.
Like what am I doing?
Yeah.
You have to sometimes analyze it to a certain extent. I know you don't want to make it too scientific. You don't want to make it too logistical, but you still have to look at it from a practical point of view sometimes in these relationships, because when you turn around, now your bank account is empty. You haven't talked to your friend in 6 months.
You remember in our relationship, I did that to you.
Yeah.
I said, when I noticed that you were becoming more consuming with me, and I said, when was the last time I did something for you? Remember in the car at Holy Coast? I was like, do you remember? We had just with McDonald's, got out some 40 piece for a party, chicken nuggets, and we're in the car, and I said, and I felt bad because I was just like, you're doing so much to please me, to out-please me, to make sure I stay with you, that you haven't even given me the opportunity to show you if I even like you. You were so focused on me, right, that I was almost like, bro, I like you now, okay, I get it. But it was just like, hey, because I felt like it was unfair. That's kind of how I felt. Like you weren't allowing me to show you that I actually really like you or give me space. And that's another thing. It's great to have a someone you're dating or a spouse, give. But that gets exhausting. Right. And I'm glad God had me check myself, because if that would have been the case, William would have been a Galveston with me. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have grown that he needed to grow in that time, because I would have been just so needy because of my daddy issues that I destroyed or started a trend that wasn't healthy for you or for me. Right. And so really, and see, that's the investment, I should say, for yourself when you allow God to come into your relationship. It challenges your flesh and your secular way of thinking to be more purposeful and intentional to your whole entire life. Right. And in dating and in finding your mate, you really have to think about those things. And I pray that men, yes, with women, I think with women it's a little bit easier because we want that mate. Yeah. But for men, I think it's also important too, because y'all see with y'all eyes first before you even the heart even gets into it. And after your eyes, you're like, but man, she got a big butt, and you stuck on her butt, but her heart is trash and she treats people like trash. Right. Why are you with her? Right. Like, are you gonna take her home to mom? No. So why? Next. Yeah. Like, it just you have to. It challenges you to be better, and I think that is the summation of all. When you bring your relationship to God, it makes you better. It makes your relationship better, and it makes generations after you better.
And then once y'all actually kind of established, we didn't realize this was very important to, and we did this late, but you definitely should do this earlier once you get engaged. What is the reason why you want to get married? What is the reason why we're married? Do you want to get married? And definitely not the time that...
I think we had actually had that conversation.
We had it, but I don't think it was...
We had it early in our relationship. You know what? We did not. You're right.
What I would say is we had the Hallmark card.
We did.
Your eyes are so beautiful. You're my light in my world. No, this is not the time to be a Hallmark card. This is the time to be real.
Hashtag no Hallmark
No card. Hallmark card. This time to be real. Okay? Baby, I am nothing without you. I need you in my life to help me get better. And this is why I need to get better in my life. And you've been helping me, and I want this to continue. Be real. Speak what that desire is.
I think when we were in a relationship, and this goes for people who are dating too, when that's very vulnerable.
Yes.
Like, you have to be very vulnerable and humble. And I did not have the words to tell you that. I can tell you that right now. I didn't have the words to tell you that until I walked down that aisle. I'm stuttering because it's very, especially for women that are very independent and have all their own stuff. Like, I really don't need a man, but I want a man. I really want to be married, but I don't need you have to really humble yourself first to God and speak those things that you desire and ask God to lead you in the right direction. Because sometimes the things that you desire is not what you need. Go look at the last video we did. Right. And when you learn that, you go, oh, that's why I married you. Or that's why God put us together.
Right. And
we're realizing after 10 years of being married, we're realizing some things just now. Right. Like why God put us together. Yes, it was great when we first decided to get married, and we understood why at that time. But now it's a different, I want to say dimension, if you will, of reasoning of why this is a great idea. And it has so much purpose in it. And so I thank God for my husband. Amen.
I thank God for my baby.
Yeah.
I feel like when we got married, one of the main things that happened, and you have to do this also as newlywed or even now, don't lose, even what the proverb says, your youthfulness.
Oh yeah.
Remember, even though you're getting older, more responsibilities, you may have kids.
Yeah.
Once you lose that youthfulness,
right?
That this is my wife.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love how the sun sits on her. I love how she silhouettes when she comes out the shop. Sorry. But I lost that. I was like, I wake up as a guy and then hearing other fellas and seeing, and that's one of the main things you get married. It's just like every temptation comes out. They're like, peekaboo, hey. Like, where you been?
Where you been?
Hey, how you married? Look at these. Like, what? Where did y'all come from? So it's just like there was a sense of like, oh wow, I have to wake up to her every day, and then it wasn't I get to wake up to her every day, and that's where I failed as a husband. You know, I wasn't.
And I had the idea of I have a husband. Like I was totally like infatuated with that idea, whereas he was just like. And now I know that's really what it was, just like, and then also I was going through my own changes as a woman, being married, and I wasn't as confident as I usually was prior to us being married. And I think that also turns you off. Like, you didn't see the thing that drew you to me was the leading. You didn't understand why. And it was because you weren't available emotionally and sexually in the relationship. So it made me feel like as if I wasn't good enough. And without you even noticing, you were causing me to kind of feel that way. And then of course, like, we gained the good old 50 pounds on the 20 plus when you get married. I gained like 50.
Oh, that weight. I was like, where is this coming from? Oh yeah, the extra large pizza. Anyway, but and then on the flip side, guys have the same thing. We just too ashamed to say it.
Right.
We didn't have the confidence either. What if I don't satisfy her?
Right.
What happened when I take my shirt off and she sees this belly?
Yeah.
You know, it's not good. It's it's not the same. You know, when I was 20, that thing was dangling.
Because he was thick, but he was solid though.
When you in your 20s,
he was just a little jiggly, and I was
like,
like,
20s, it was a full size, candy bar.
Nice.
When you get older, it's like,
I cannot, husband.
So there was that sense of like, am I going to not satisfy her? And I got in my own head, like I got so in my own head, like, what if I don't satisfy her? I didn't satisfy her.
It's like you almost became older in your sexuality than you actually were.
Yeah, someone hit a fast forward button, and it was me. Mm-hmm. Of course, in the relationship, when you start off, you're really looking for what you want. I want a warm body. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to go to a movie alone. I'm tired of eating dinner alone.
This is true.
And then when you get deeper in a relationship, you realize, shoot, she got qualities I need. I would not be in this situation.
That's a good statement.
I would not be an educator if Sierra wasn't here. Would I kept pursuing being a computer programmer? Would I have kept pursuing being a video game? Would I have been, making money in my sense, making it, but would I have been happy?
So I think the hardest lessons you learn is that when you're in a relationship and you have God in it,
yes,
flesh is what we want,
right?
And then you begin in a relationship, and as you allow God to come into the relationship, He kind of shows you who you are,
right? And
I think when you discover more who you are, you realize the qualities in which the other person has that you might need, or that you might need to be nurtured more than others. And I think in our relationship, we've done that a lot and still doing it as of today. We're learning about different facets of each other because we're being pushed in different directions, either by work, by family, by circumstances, by situations. Being uncomfortable, sometimes we thought being comfortable was the best thing for us, but actuality, it was the worst thing for us. Especially the first 5 years of our marriage. We were comfortable.
Ooh, we were comfortable.
Too comfortable. And it was not the best thing, but being, and when I say uncomfortable, meaning You don't. Everything's not. I'm gonna say this. Everybody hate. Everything's not flowers and lilies and sunshine and rainbows. It's not. So if it is, you be like, check something. Right. Is it you? Is it you? Is it what is it? Because being uncomfortable sometimes through your relationship, and I'm not saying being in argument, being in resistance of one another. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying if you're not being challenged to grow, amen, spiritually and physically and mentally, right, in the relationship, then you're just stagnant.
Yes. And
when nothing's happening outside of that, you're not growing. You're just not. Growth is uncomfortable. Growth is necessary for your progression as a person and as in your purpose as you walk with God. Amen. And one thing that I did intentionally for our intimacy, I would always tell William, I'm a very busy woman and I am usually very exhausted, but I save at least 10% of my energy to devote to my husband. And for me, I had made that decision up for me, because I know that I can be very consumed with work, with my ventures. I can be very consumed where I don't think. And so in the back of my little brain, I told myself when we got married, I said, always save 10% of your energy. If that means you have to end that conversation early, if that means you have to go home a little bit early, if that means you just have to sit on the couch. And in that season, year 3 to year 6 or 7, I had forgot about that 10%. And I had focused so much on keeping myself busy because you weren't really present. You weren't really ready. You weren't really actively seeking to please me or to enjoy me. Right. And so I was just like, well, what am I saving 10% for? And so that also set up an environment where you didn't feel like I wanted you. Remember you said, well, when you put the computer in front of you, that doesn't turn me on. That tells me, well, she's working, and leave her alone. Exactly. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. But now looking back, that's exactly what I was doing. It was just like, well, I got work to do. And now I make a point, and I thank God for his grace and his mercy to remind me, Sierra, move it to the side. Don't even put it in front of you. To allow him to know it's okay to even just come sit next to me and hold me, before we go to bed, or, that's intimacy. That is so much more important. I think in a marriage, intimacy is so much more important than sex.
Way more. Now we learn. We learned that.
Because there's so many different ways to be intimate. A date night, buy you like gummy bears. Yes. So I make sure I buy, like, if I'm at somewhere, I'm like, man, let me get a little gummy bears.
My chewy candy.
It's a chewy candy, and I'll bring it home for him. And so just the little things to making sure you appreciate your spouse is super important before you even have sex. If you don't feel you're being appreciated, sex is not going to be good. It's just going to be another little things you do.
Activity did. Like writing a paper or reading a book.
Right.
Oh, I did it. All right.
Right.
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Exactly. And if you find in your marriage that it's hard for you to be intimate, then first of all, ask yourself, go back to what I said. Is that person your friend? Do you like them?
Let's start with that.
Do you like them?
Can we start with that, please?
If you don't like them,
this new generation,
y'all need to be having a whole nother different conversation. If you don't like them, if you don't like them, then you need to have a whole nother different conversation, because what are you doing? As I've been married, I've been learning. I'm learning, I should say, not learned, because I'm still progressing. I'm learning that I have to not rely on who I am as a person includes the equation of my husband. Right. Like, I'm how can I say this? I'm the least organized in the house than William. We'll throw everything away. I'm like, no, we can use that later. No, keep that. We can use that later. He's like, no.
10 of these.
Just throw it away, Sierra. And I'm just like, no. We don't need it for a project or something. He's like, Sierra, let it go. Just let it go. If I have an art project, you never. Anywho, see, that's a conversation right now. Anywho,
but you're at 10 of them.
So that's another thing. So for me, it's just like, well, some women would think, well, since I'm not, and men, let me say it that way, well, I'm not the organized one, so I'll just let him do all the organized stuff. And so you just give it up because you have that partner, right?
Right.
But are you giving it up and not working on it for yourself?
Right.
Are you just depending on your spouse to be the organized one all the time and do all the finances all the time so that you don't have to worry about it? There should be a balance. There should be a balance within yourself. There also should be a balance within the relationship. To put the complete burden of a part of your identity or form of your characteristic onto your spouse is immature. Yeah. Because you're not taking responsibility for who you are as a person. And I had to learn that. Yeah. I will say, our weight loss journey, for a good year 7, I was mad at William the whole time. Because I'm like, you got me eating all this crap. And I'm supposed to be, he didn't know it. Unbeknownst to him, this is his first time hearing about it. Yeah. But I was mad. Because I'm like, this dude used to eat salads. We both was thick, but William ate more salads than me in college, okay? Let me tell you. He didn't know how to cook a vegetable very well, but he knew how to get a salad real quick. Yeah, I knew how to make salad. I'm like, why are we here? Like, we should not be. And so, but I had to act, God had to show me, boo-boo, you been eating. Every time he cook, you the one been putting in your mouth.
You have to be. Don't eat.
Or don't eat. Like, you are still a child of God. You are my child. You is not his child. What do you need to do? And I think in a marriage or a dating relationship, you always need to ask yourself, especially if it's something like that. Of course, if it's abuse or something like that, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Right. But if it's something where it's irritating you to the soul, so if you're just like, oh, ask yourself, ask God, show me, is it something that I need to do to better me so that I can have a better relationship? Because if putting it always on your spouse is not the healthiest thing to do. And it is more about really you. Like, that's why, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Ask the question.
As we can continue to communicate and learn each other, we lead to the next factor, and that's coordination. And basically that's working together, using each other's special talents and abilities, using each other. We can't do it. That's when, oh my God, I don't know what was going on in my head thinking I could do everything. And then all the anxiety, all the pressure I put on my life for no reason, when Sierra definitely has the skills to do things as well. And that just leads back to, like I said, I didn't like working with groups. I didn't value other people's abilities. I didn't really their talents.
Because you thought you was the stud. Because you was a jerk.
Well, you the one used to.
He was a jerk.
This is her joke with mine. This was
a jerk. He was a jerk.
I want to let her finish.
He was a jerk. Hey.
You done?
I'm finished.
So there's a goofy thing she likes to do with me, and she's you just think you know everything. You just think you know. I'm Mr. President. I know everything. So that gets in your head like, I guess I know everything. That means I know.
You put that on me? Oh, okay. All right. That's what we doing there. Okay. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. No. But
I didn't take heed to Ephesians 4:16 where it says, "For his body has been formed in his image and is closely joined together and constantly connected as one. And every member has been given divine gifts to contribute to the growth of all. And these gifts operate effectively throughout the whole body. We are built up and made perfect in love." Come on, Ephesians 4:16.
Leave it in.
We got to use each other's ability, and that even goes past marriages, like your family members, your friends. If you feel like, oh my God, I gotta do everything. Why?
If you try to control everything, then that's another problem.
So one thing with us,
I had that problem.
I'm gonna be hot. One thing with us, me and Sierra are that we're the friends that can plan stuff.
Oh, you about to be hot?
Hot.
Blessed.
So it got frustrated after a while. I was like, why I always gotta be the ones that plan stuff? Then we had to really accept that's just who we are. We're just good at planning things. Like, all right, this day we're gonna do this. This day we can do this. Now we're not fixing that. but at least we have some idea what we think the day should look like. Then we have those friends who are more, they're the ones that can find the entertainment. They're the ones more talkative.
Yeah.
You got some that know how to handle the budget better. You got some people,
Yeah.
everyone has those different talents. So even if you're not even married or in a relationship, your friends, and your family members, you need to be able to use each other so that you don't feel like you're doing everything, so that you can take some of that pressure off of you in life.
And when Will says use, I don't know, for me, it's giving me like a weird feeling. I think it's more of leaning on one another. Because when you lean, you're still independent, right? Yeah. But when you lean, you get that extra support to kind of help you stay upright. Yeah. And I think that's, if you can use or lean, you just leaning, getting a little assistance here and there, to get you through whatever you're going through. And I think if we as a culture and as a people of God do that in a general sense, especially with marriage too, that's why we do Marriage Starter Kit, because it's things that like that we talked about, and people have said to us like, you know what y'all said in this video, it like volumes, and I didn't realize it. And then I'm like, they've been married longer than we have, and I'm like, we didn't even know, like we didn't even think about that. Oh, that's us building each other up. That's us phone. We all have talents. We all have things that are wonderful, and I think that we need to celebrate that more. But like, girl, you good at that. Come help me do this, girl. And we lean on one another and not be so boastful and not be so opinionated or judgmental, but love on one another. Yes. It's just love. That's all it is.
So, it's made in perfect love. That's what it says.
That's perfect love. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Just because we said I do, sometimes in a relationship, you got to realize you still have to build the trust.
Yeah. And continue to build the trust.
And that's why I think some of them
in different
fall
areas.
apart.
Yeah, in different areas of our lives. Like, you know, I trust you with this, but I don't trust you with that. And so when you realize that you don't have that trust, is it a problem within yourself or is it a problem within your relationship? And so it's very good to either talk that through with your spouse or with somebody else or with a therapist, because you never know that your mistrust in this area or whatever it is could not just be your relationship when your husband or your wife is there. It might just be something within yourself. And so going into discovering what that is with God is so important, because you realize some things about yourself that you didn't know.
Right. And that's why it's very important to try especially if this is not your first marriage. It's very important to try to leave that at the door. And that's what Sierra was saying. Get some therapy, you know, talk to family, like talk to somebody, because you go into a second marriage, because I've heard some, not that, you know, it's not the worst reason, but only going to a marriage just so you don't be lonely.
It's not a good idea. If you don't enjoy yourself,
it's like, I don't want to be lonely, and then you still have that baggage. You still don't have the trust.
Yeah.
And then you don't have your best friend because you still. It's like you might as well have been lonely. Yeah. You're roommates at that.
Yeah. At that point. Exactly.
At that point. And I will say the one thing, another reason other than my independence was my lack of trust. Go back to what we said last week. We had to build our trust in each other. Mm-hmm. Just because you say I do doesn't mean you automatically trust wholeheartedly in a person. It's not humanly possible unless y'all been together like long before y'all got married. We had 5 years before we got married. So, and that was four of them were in college. Mm-hmm. So we never really got to see each other as a full adult, with full responsibility weight of the world on us. We still always had the mom and dad. In my case, mom and dad to back me up, and Sierra had her mom and family to back us up. But when we got married, it was like, okay, this is it. Like, okay, who are Sierra? Who is Will? Without the backing of your parents. So there was a little bit of mistrusting each other because we never got to see each other. But as we grew, as we challenged each other, as we taught each other lessons, that trust did build. So to a point where I cannot do. I feel like I can still make steps, with God's help, but I won't feel right. There's certain respect where, hey, like, what you think about this? I know this is my career. I know I'm in education, but what's your take on this? Because it's a big step.
But and I feel like this statement goes beyond just a best friend dilemma. Yeah. I think the people that are around you should should
know that.
No, how can I say
See
no?
that.
You should your reflection.
Reflection, boom.
Your reflection.
Your reflection.
You look at your friend like, look at the other friend, like, are we?
And it should ooze in every detail of your life.
Yeah,
too.
it does. It does. It's not saying we're the same person, but that spirit of oneness should be there. And you notice, like, if it's not, you're like, well, what's going on with this? Like, what's going on with this friendship? So it's a wonderful thing, especially if you're in a marriage. You really got to look at that, because if you look at your husband, you're like, we're night and day, or like we're completely like not in sync. Well, something's wrong. There's a disconnect.
Hopefully I'm not sounding too judgmental, but fellas, if you'll post, don't show that you're married. Lessons for married men.
Go ahead, slide it in.
You need to go ahead and update your put husband somewhere. At least one picture every 3 pictures. You should not look single on social media. I'm gonna say that right there, because that can get you in trouble. We can name a few people. I ain't gonna do that, because we never know where this influence goes. We might meet one day. Hey, so you talk about that. But go ahead and update your social media. You're married. Act like it. Anyway, just saying. Why do you keep getting on my DMs? Oh my God, temptation. Yeah, temptation, because every 15 pictures you out there at every other strip club. Never mind. I'm done. Anyway, sometimes temptation follows you. Anyway, why right? All right. So we've talked about levels of friendship so far. So we want to go ahead and just revisit definitely what a best friend is. So let's look at John 15:12-13. This is my commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. No one has greater love than to give up one's life for one's friends. And that's what we said. And some people might interpret that, you got to die for your friend. But we saw that more of sacrificing time, sacrificing energy. Yeah. They call you, answer the phone. Yeah. Don't send them straight to voicemail. It's like super busy. Of course, my wife is my number one priority. So you call me and handle my business, you got to wait. But when it comes to, that's what I'm saying, she's my wife. I'm going to lay down everything I need to make sure. I've been in meetings where I'm like, I know we're talking about something important, but my wife don't just call me
several times. If I call 2 times, I'm like, you need to go answer the phone.
That could wait. There's nothing in education that can't wait. Yeah. I'm gonna answer the phone for my wife. Yeah, so even if you're not married, you feel like you got best friends. That's
and something as simple as just seeing your partner outside of yourself. Sometime. I'm gonna give an example. Just last weekend, we went to go walk, and William was like, I'm just gonna walk around the neighborhood. I was like, can you just drive to like a park and like do the walk there? And he's like, but I just wanted to go like quick. And I'm like, but Will, like, just it'll give us some more motivation, like, to do this, like the look, the environment. He's just like, but I just wanted to just go out the door, just walk and come back. And I'm just like, but can we? And he's just like, okay. And so just that conversation alone is touchy, because when Will has a mission,
it's hard.
It's hard for him to like.
I'm a very stubborn person, but I'm like, my mindset on something. Like,
but then when we get there, he the one first pull out his camera. Oh look, it's not here.
You really had to go that country.
Oh really? The environment is really nice. Okay. Trust your wife.
That's what best friends do. That's the one thing best friends do for you.
Y'all see how he still got him? I'll say about it. He enjoyed it.
Sometimes your best friends know better.
Sometimes, and it's just that alone shows me that he's grown a lot. Because old William would have been like, as I would have said it the third time, he'd be like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get in the car. And we were about to go into that route of what we usually do. And he was like, you know what? He came back. He was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna wait for you. I'm gonna wait for you. I was like, all right, cool. So just that alone shows our growth in our relationship. It's something very, very small, but those small things add up to the bigger things. And being a best friend, it's in the details. Yes. It's being intentional. Go back to the video we did, the part 1 and 2. Being intentional with your spouse is really important in keeping that friendship. Right. Because I always said I wanted I wanted a husband that I can say he's my friend and I like him before I can say I am in love with him. I've always said that. I even told William that when we started talking about being in a relationship after we, committed to one another, and we just had these like little small conversations. And I said, I want to be able to say I still like you after it's all said and done. Because if I can't say I like you and I genuinely want to spend time with you, what are we doing? Like, we're wasting each other's time.
You should like each other.
So when you're communicating with your spouse or in a relationship, there's different forms of communication.
Right.
And you can go Google all these different words, but the words kind of explain themselves. You have passive, passive-aggressive, aggressive, or assertive. For Sierra, I was aggressive and assertive. That's it.
Double A, baby.
That's it. I wasn't passive. I wasn't passive aggressive. I was just aggressive and assertive. And that is exhausting. For the person that actually gives it out, it's exhausting. And I realized, I was like, why am I having to push so hard when I have Holy Spirit guide me? Pray. Like, I have these and that's, I think as a Christian, we tend to forget that we have these tools that God has allowed us because Jesus has died for our sins. And we forget that we have these tools, these gifts, I should say, not tools, gifts to allow us to live a more purposeful life, a more intentional life. It's not always easy. Let me say that. But it allows you to tap into the spirit, man, of yourself and say, what is going on? Why is this happening?
Yes.
Why am I expressing myself this way? For me, I never felt like I was being heard. I never felt like I was, like, I never thought that people were actually listening to me.
Right.
So I felt like I had to be in your face. I had to be loud. I had to make sure I put on the scene. And I have a husband who's passive.
And a lot of fellas are. I didn't realize it was not.
Yeah, a lot of fellas are passive aggressive.
And then it's so crazy.
But you're really just passive.
When you see it from outside looking in, when I saw other husbands be like that, I was like, I don't be like that. I don't like that.
Really?
I ain't like that.
Really?
I ain't like that.
And
I'm sorry, I'm telling
Will
somebody.
does not know that was a prayer for me.
Yeah.
That was a prayer. I told him that when we were dating. I said, I do not want a husband who is just present. Mm-hmm. I want a husband that is communication. I was assertive, okay? I had to tell him. I said, I want a husband that is involved, that's invested, that is there. That when he walks in, people know that he has a loving and caring spirit. Not that he's a mean man, not that he's a demanding man, but that he's a good guy. And William, I will say, husband, you have got to this point. You have gotten there.
Here's the consequence of passively aggressive. And I feel like what better described me was I was aggressively passive.
Yeah.
Aggressively passive. And what happens is that starts to pent up and you skip aggressive, you go straight to the assertive. You see, it's like, where did that come from? About 2 years of being passively aggressive, kind of got pined up, and then it comes out assertive, and now you got fellas. Thank God that I was not that type of person, but then you get the fellas that punching the holes in the walls, going laid out. It's a strip club till 3 a.m, come drunk to bender because you were so aggressively passive that your emotions just got all locked in, so it came out like a cannon. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, and I think for men, especially men of color, it's a taught thing to hold your emotions because the world will eat you up. And we have seen through our history that the world has eaten us up.
Yes,
but in the new way of walking with God, we have to know that someone is stronger than what people think that we are. And as Black men, I behoove you to take on the Holy Spirit with you day in and day out and cover yourself daily and show the goodness that's within you, because y'all got goodness. Y'all afraid to show it because you're afraid no one's going to hear you and people are already judging you. But I behoove you to show the goodness of God that's in you, and allow that to lead every step that you take with either in a relationship, a career, a business, whatever it is. Take that spirit and walk in it every day, and allow God to guide you, not man, not judgment, not what the world culture opinion puts on you. What God says you are. God says you're great. God says you are awesome. You are his child. Walk in it.
Yes.
Strongly.
Yes. Thank you,
and
baby.
Unbelief.
Feel good as a black man right now.
Woo!